This is the Geoffrey and Richie Show. All sports, all talk.
Hello there, and welcome to the Geoffrey and Richie Sports Show, your weekly sports podcast. I'm Richie Benno, and I'd like to introduce my colleague, Geoffrey Boycott. Good morning, Geoffrey.
Morning, Richie. Morning, everybody.
How are you?
I'm just a bit frantic this week.
I've got to say, listeners, it's for the first time I've ever seen Geoffrey unshaven. I mean, it's not a bad look. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know, and I fear change on all levels.
What can I say? There are things going on outside of the radio show.
What?
I know.
It's called a podcast for starters. And second of all, I'm not having this.
You know, I always regard it as a radio show. One day we'll have our own radio show, I'm sure.
Oh, let's hope so. Let's hope so.
That's the stuff that both you and I dream of.
Absolutely.
Not in the same bed, just to clarify.
Well, speaking of, ongoing success and further success, I'd just like to be honest with you, just reiterate what I said last week. A big thank you to our listeners. Downloads are just coming in thick and fast at the moment. We are genuinely touched by it all, and frankly, we can't
again still.
Yeah, we can't believe it. Lord only knows why, but obviously there's got to be somebody out there enjoying it by the looks of things. If you do want to get in contact with us, please do. Our email address is geoffreyandrichie@hotmail.co.uk. Get in touch and give us your views or just talk about sport in general. We'll happily talk about it. But where should we start this week, Geoffrey? A little bit of football?
Yeah, I think it's best. I mean, we normally tend to start with either football or cricket, unless there's something crazy going on in the world.
And last week there was, and indeed has been since.
Yes,
even more craziness,
indeed.
which we'll probably come on to
I'm sure we will.
At some point. Bless him. But
so I guess, as per usual,
what's going on?
I'm going to start with my team.
What is going on?
What is going on?
Apparently, according to Rafa, today is the beginning of the rest of the season.
Yeah.
What a load of crap.
Well, I suppose at the moment he's clutching at straws, isn't he? And he's sort of trying to reel out any positive message to the fans, to the team, in the hope that it is going to turn
anyone buying
our
it?
fortunes around.
Is anyone buying it?
I'm not sure. I'm going to say probably not. But I mean, at the weekend again, disappointment, a 0-0 draw at Blackburn.
Games you've got to win.
Indeed. And obviously that's been followed by, well, we were already out of the Champions League, but nonetheless, I think everyone hoped that we'd finish on a bit of a high there. And I could be wrong in saying, but I think that's the lowest points total Liverpool have managed to secure in the Champions League.
It is, and now you're not seeded for the
Europa
Cup.
Yeah, so unfortunate, really. I mean, the only positives coming out of it were, can I say Aquilani was a positive? I mean, I've been raving about this guy for a long time, thinking that he's going to be the answer to all our prayers.
You have, well, your prayers.
Yes, and he looks average, but I suppose when you've been out for that long, you're not going to look first class right from the off.
No, I mean, Benitez made a couple of good points afterwards. He just dressed it up in such a ridiculous way. He said obviously Aquilani was a positive. The fact that Gerrard's playing a few games now, Torres is close to being fit again. I don't think he played last night. But
Torres.
Yeah,
he did.
He did play.
He played for the last 20 minutes, and he looked awesome.
Well, he would do because he's by far and away. He's a fantastic striker. So there are positives to take out of it, but to dress it up in that way, I mean, is there really any Liverpool fan, player, pundit thinking, yeah, good point, yeah, that's the way back? It's just a bit of a nonsense. I mean, who's he kidding?
It is getting to the stage now where this is very much make or break. I mean, if we get knocked out of the Europa League Cup, whatever you want to call it,
because it's like a second league format now, isn't it? Is that right?
To be honest, I don't know. I mean, I haven't had to pay any attention to it previously, so I'm not sure.
There's Fulham fans jumping up and down, and Everton fans going, "Oh yes, we know."
I mean, if we get knocked out of that and don't reach the latter stages, then that's even more pressure.
Is he gone? Is he gone?
I would say, these next few months are critical to Rafa Benitez and his future at the club. All I can hope is that we do the business against Arsenal on Sunday, because that is massive.
Big game. Is it at your place?
I believe so.
It is at your place, yeah. So just checking.
I
wasn't trying to catch you out there. I was just asking, and then I remembered that.
That's fine. So that's Liverpool. How about West Ham?
Well, we're not going to stay up. The results against the top four are not going to be the deciding factor of whether we stay up or whether we don't. I mean, scoreline was a little bit unflattering, obviously, and doing less than a minute doesn't help. But and certainly against they had such a formidable central defence partnership there. We were never going to break them down. Fletcher and Carrick, we weren't going to break them down.
No, it's strange what's going on at United with the amount of injuries to their defenders, isn't it?
So many, 8 of them are out, and Evra and Vidic are really the only 2. And
indeed, there's a story in the paper, I think, over the last few days linking Sol Campbell with...
I could see it. Very similar to the whole Laurent Blanc situation, and obviously he brought Larson in as a bit of a short-term measure. I could see him doing it. I really could. It would be great for Sol Campbell, unbelievable. But I think he could do a job for him, I really do. But yeah, so sorry, coming back to West Ham, not great. I mean, there's positive news coming out of Upton Park the last couple of days about David Gold and David Sullivan being linked to the club with some form of investment. And it's predominantly more on the investment side for transfer funds that they're going to be involved in, rather than the actual injection of cash to buy the club, which I think is a good thing. And there's I believe they had a stake in them many moons ago as well. I think they had links with them. So I'm not unhappy. It's for me, it's just Carlton Cole injury is the biggest worry, and unfortunately, I do wonder. Even though we've scored goals against Hull and the 5 against Burnley, I do still worry about where our goals are going to come from. But as I say, Saturday's result will not make or break our season. It will be other games that do. Yeah, frankly.
Well, should we have a little bit of a chat about, I suppose, Arsenal obviously continue to perform against the sides that they are expected to beat.
Yeah, they do.
And then struggle, obviously, when they come up against
the top 4, top 3,
the title contenders. They won against Stoke. What about the City-Chelsea game?
Well, I was personally absolutely livid about it, because I don't endorse gambling in any way, shape or form, but I put a little 5-way accumulator on Saturday, and my 5th one was the Chelsea game, and I went for Chelsea. My other 4 came in, and when they were 1-0 up at half time, I was pretty happy. It wasn't, to be honest with you, it wasn't going to stop me, meaning I'd retire
from the show,
or indeed from anything that I do in my life. But I was. Great result for City. It could be a result that turns their season, frankly, after all the draws they've had. And from what I read, it was a fairly even contest, and I think it shows that City are going to be up there. Probably not this season in terms of breaking into the top 4, but
let's hope not anyway, because Liverpool need to slot in there somewhere, and at the moment I'm struggling to think where.
Well, at the moment, mate, I'm looking at City. In fact, there are 6 points between 3rd and 8th in the league. Yeah, at the moment, obviously, Liverpool are in there, blah blah blah. But I think Tottenham and City, I think they're your biggest rivals for that 4th place at the moment. It's, but no, I thought it was a fantastic result for City, and all good. And of course Spurs as well. They're up there and
could have won it at the death against Everton, couldn't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know that Howard saved the penalty and reacted like he'd won the World Cup and the National Lottery on the same day. He was, It
wasn't a great penalty from Defoe, though, was it? Just smacking it down the middle, hoping for the best.
It wasn't. I mean, I was talking to my dad before the game, and he said obviously we don't have a great record up there, but to drop the 2 points from 2-0 was disappointing. But it's still a decent point, and I think Everton, are a better team than where their league position suggests that they might be. But
where actually are they? Are they in the relegation zone?
Well, I don't think they're in the relegation zone. They're about 14th, 15th, I believe, at the moment. There's better teams below them. Let me assure you of that.
Geoffrey and Richie.
If you'd like to download the full version of the Geoffrey and Richie Sports Show, including more football talk, Geoffrey versus Richie, our usual cricket chat, a rundown of the contenders for the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, and also the winners and losers from the past 7 days of sport, do check us out on iTunes. We are the Geoffrey and Richie Sports Show. You can also check out our blog. That's www.geoffreyandrichie.libsyn.com. You can also email us. The email address is geoffreyandrichie@hotmail.co.uk. We're also on Facebook and, of course, Twitter as well. Our username is G&R_podcast.
This is the Geoffrey and Richie Show. All sports, all talk.